Hi, everyone, and welcome to Studio Jake. I, of course, am your host, Jacob Airy. I've got not one, but two stories that involve the corporate press, and I'm very excited to talk about them. But first, welcome once again. Be sure to like, share, subscribe right here on this vidcast where I talk about all things pop culture. Now, I don't often talk about sports because honestly, I don't know a whole lot about sports ball, but this article, this whole fiasco created by the media outlet known as Deadspin has just been delicious to watch as they've collapsed in real time because of it. Now, Deadspin used to be owned by Gawker. They're owned by someone else now. No one really cares because Deadspin has kind of gone the way of the dinosaurs. They've had massive layoffs. They've been sued multiple times. And most of the time, because judges have a bias for the corporate press, they get away with their smears, their lies, their fraud, everything, allegedly. Basically, what happened was during a Kansas City Chief game back in November, there was a little boy who was wearing black and red face paint on his face to root for the Kansas City. He's 9 years old, and this is a very common practice among football fans. Pittsburgh Steelers will paint their faces black and gold. Dallas Cowboy fans will paint their faces blue and silver. This is going on now. Kansas City's their main colors are red and yellow. However, on their special uniforms, it's red, yellow, and black. So this kid was painted half his face black, half his face red. Now, a Deadspin reporter by the name of, and I'm not making this up, Karen Phillips. He decided to do a little Karening and wrote this article where he only showed the side of the kid's face, and I'm not going to say the kid's name to protect his privacy. He only showed the side of the kid's face that was painted black, and he basically accused this kid and his parents in engaging in blackface. At first, there was a lot of people defending his article. Well, then, when the full picture came out of the kid in both, now I believe that he actually screenshotted it from a CBS news CBS Sports broadcast. And when people were pointing out that this kid, was in both, well, then he kind of tried to triple down and say, "Oh, well, so he's in red face and he's in blackface. How is this okay?" And it's what's so funny was his defenders. There was this idiocracy where they were trying to defend his stance and saying, "Oh my gosh, so yeah, it's blackface, it's blackface, it's blackface." Like, no, it's not blackface. Blackface is when a white person like Jimmy Kimmel or Ted Danson puts on black makeup and they engage in racial stereotypes like Jimmy Kimmel, like Ted Danson. But what this kid was doing was he just painted his face the colors of the team. Well, then, of course, all the race baiters and race hustlers were coming out saying that the Kansas City Chiefs need to change their name and blah, 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 which is totally ridiculous. It's the same people who went after the Washington Commandos, all those years ago. For one thing, Chiefs is a title, and isn't it kind of stereotypical to say, oh, Chiefs represents all Native Americans? Anyway, doesn't matter. My point is that Karen Phillips doubled down. Deadspin has stood behind him. They're refusing to apologize or retract his story. So, according to Outkick, the parents are going to sue him. Now, again, I'm going to not say the name of the child. I think he's been through enough. So, if it's public record, I guess, if you're macabre and want to find out, fine. But the parents of 9-year-old Kansas City Chiefs fan are threatening legal action against Deadspin after the website published an article accusing the child of racism. On November 27th, Deadspin published an article calling on the NFL to condemn the young fan who writer Karen J. Phillips claims hates black people and Native Americans. Phillips falsely accused the child of wearing blackface, conveniently leaving out the fact that one half of the child's face was painted red. He was simply showing off his team's colors. Now, here's where a twist comes in. Continuing with Outkick. More details later revealed that the child actually did have ties to Native Americans, contrary to Phillips' baseless jab at the kid. His grandfather serves on the board of the Chumash tribe in Santa Ynez, California. Now, Deadspin and another media outlet tried to run cover. They contacted the tribe, and the tribe said, "Oh, we don't endorse this, that, and the other." It was a very bland statement from a tribe, but but they didn't condemn the child or his parents for doing that. So Karen, he mocked and called a child a racist, a 9-year-old boy, not even in double digits yet. And then whenever he was called out for it, he doubles down and saying, "Oh, he also hates Native Americans." I hope that, and no legal advice here, I'm not a lawyer, but I do hope that the parents sue Deadspin and take them for a lot of money, like with Nicholas Sandman with CNN. What I hope Kyle Rittenhouse does to the Young Turks and ABC News, what Richard Jewell did, to the Atlanta newspapers and CNN and other sources. I really hope that this kid and his parents want for nothing after this vile, baseless, senseless attack from this hustler. And if you go back further into his timeline, like he's always clearly had a problem with white people in general. I don't know why. It doesn't matter where your bigotry is targeted, it's still bigotry. And this guy clearly has a problem with guys who look like me. I don't know why. I've never met him, so I don't know why he would have a problem with me or Native Americans. But it was not just Deadspin that was having a problem. Washington Post, and hey, I told you were going to get a double feature, so here's the second story. Washington Post is having a very bad day because do you know why? Some of their journalists, their paper boys, their copy editors, blah, 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 they went on strike for one whole day. Can you believe that? It's so sad. It's so sad. A bunch of journalists are crying because they don't make as much as, blue collar people. It's so sad. But I don't care. And neither does anyone else. But it's true. The Washington Post guild of reporters. It's just say you're a union guild. What are you trying to be in Lord of the Rings? Oh wait, you called J.R. Tolkien a racist. So no. Anyway, this is according to Deseret News. More than 700 Washington Post employees began a 24-hour walkout on Thursday, citing a breakdown in contract talks that have stretched for 18 months and the threat of job cuts as the Jeff Bezos-owned publication attempts to cut costs amid declining ad revenues and a shrinking subscriber base. Turns out people don't like fake news. Imagine that. Back in October, interim Washington Post CEO Patty, why is she a CEO? Shouldn't she be editor-in-chief? Anyway, Patty Stunsifer announced plans to cut 240 jobs, about 10% of the paper's total workforce by the end of the year, through a voluntary buyout program. Last week, Stunsifer warned in a memo first reported by Semaphore that half of that number had accepted buyouts, according to NPR. Well, then it's probably not true. It's probably either way lower or way higher. Stunsifer said if more people did not accept the buyout, the weekend voluntary lawsuits would ensue on far less general terms. Oh my gosh. When this announcement came out, then the Guild posted this video where it's all of these reporters. Oh, I was there when this happened. I was there when this happened. Support me. I deserve a living wage. And one of the things that was really funny about this was I looked up some of their demands. Whenever I look at demands, like even with the SAG ones, before I make a judgment, I want to see what their demands are. Because maybe they're, as much as I despise the corporate press, they're not paying their workers a living wage, whatever. But the Guild, this is what they were asking. So they wanted a raise of $210 per week in one raise. Not, we want this over time. Eventually, we're going to get there. No, they want it right now. What? What reality are you living in where you as a journalist think you're important enough to get that kind of raise? And it doesn't just go on there, the benefits package they're demanding. Listen, if they were really worth that, the Washington Post would not be failing. They have lost subscribers since Jeff Bezos bought them. They were going to go under, but Jeff Bezos and his rich Amazon money swooped in and took it. Now, that's really the only reason WaPo has limped on is because of Jeff Bezos' money. It's just ludicrous to me that they would think that they deserve that kind of pay at all. Those WaPo journalists should be making minimum wage, considering all the lies, all the smears, all the fraud, allegedly, that they have put on the American people. What's so weird was all of these newspapers are facing this. New York Times, I remember a couple of years ago, they had to take a loan from a loan shark in Mexico to survive because no one in the United States would help them. No one would buy them out. The corporate press is failing, and guys like me who deliver commentary. I'm not a news guy. I admit this. I'm a commentary person, and I hope you like my commentary. Even if you don't, I hope you come back to visit. If you don't, you don't. But you're always welcome. But with WaPo, they're saying we don't want middle of the road readers. We don't want conservatives because those far away people might try to do something, right? It's all a big game to them. They rolled the dice on woke and they failed. And I'm not sorry to see Deadspin or WaPo go through this. It could not have happened to nicer people. Karen Phillips and the Guild need to get a grip and need to wake up to the fact that the media is no longer the fourth estate. It's going to be guys like me or Megan Kelly or Sydney Watson, Jeremy from the Quartering. It's going to be independent people who do it. Now, please note, I'm not comparing to them myself to them. They all have way larger audiences than I do, but I love the audience that I have. All of you rock, and I'm happy that you're here. I'm happy to engage with you in the comments, and I'm happy that you watched. WaPo, Deadspin, they would rather rely on woke ideology and race baiting to give you a spin of the news instead of telling you the news and giving their opinion. They are presenting their opinion as fact, and that's just not the case. And like I said, all this trouble that's happening, it could not have happened to a group of nicer people. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you'll give it a thumbs up, that you'll leave me a comment, tell me what you think, that you'll share it out with your friends, and of course, consider subscribing to StudioJake. I cover all kinds of nerd and pop culture topics, including film, television, anime, comic books, and so much more. I hope that you'll also head over to my main website, StudioJakeMedia.com, where I have even more news, views, and commentary. Also, if you'd like to support the channel, head over to my locals page. That's studiojakemedia.locals.com. It's the best way to support me. I'm trying to build a little community there. I have exclusive reviews and articles, so definitely head over there and check it out. And I'll see you next time right here on Studio Jake.